You're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Welcome back, everybody. It's RBLR Lightning. My name is Jake Ricker. Alongside me, it's Joe Zamataro, Matt Gannon. Guys, welcome back to the show. We've got a fun week of Lightning hockey to talk about. But first and foremost, guys, how you doing today?
Well, I'm doing pretty well now. It was a really long day of having to take one of my pups, Daisy, to the vet. You may have heard her chime in once or twice on the show in some episodes past, but she's doing really well right now, and definitely appreciate you guys postponing recording this one so that we could get her taken care of and get me on the show.
I'm always happy to be back with you guys again. As always, this is therapy for me, but I took a nice trip up to Tennessee. Unfortunately, I was unsuccessful in smuggling Ryan McDonough back through my carry-on, but no success
Matt.
there. But I'm always happy to
for
be
that
back.
one. We got a lot to talk about in today. Of course, we're going to go over our injury news and roster updates. We'll recap the games for you guys, take a look at our 3 stars, talking about an event coming back to Tampa for the second time. We'll preview the upcoming games, all that and more coming up on today's episode. And let's jump right into it. So, guys, injury news / roster updates. I want to talk about Corey Perry and Nick Perbix, who missed the last game. Perbix has missed the last 2 games. A lot of people I've seen have been asking, are they hurt? Are they injured? Is Perbix in the doghouse? What is going on? Why is he not playing in the lineup? No, Perbix is not hurt, and Corey Perry is not either. They are just the odd men out right now with the Lightning's rotation of forwards and defensemen. And I wanted to bring this up because, Joe, I think you're the one who mentioned it. When we first traded for Jeannot and Eyssimont, we've always known we're going to have that extra forward. So the question became, who's going to be the rotation that comes out because you have that extra forward? Well, it turns out they're not only doing that with the forwards, but also the defensemen. Darren Radish has been jumping into the lineup recently, and either Bogosian or Perbix, it seems like, are the ones that are coming out of the lineup. And then for the forwards, it looks like it's a rotation of Corey Perry, Pat Maroon, Belmar, and then, of course, Eyssimont as well. So those, it looks like, is the rotation. What are your guys' thoughts, though, on moving these guys in and out of the lineup?
Well, it's definitely something that we predicted. You have to have somebody that sits out, and using a rotator is great. Get that little bit of rest in there. I was surprised that Perbix was one, but, pre-show, as we were talking, Jake mentioned he's never played this many games before in the NHL, and the amount of the physical toll that it takes on your body is huge, especially when you're one of the top 2 pairings for defensemen. So, getting the guys into better physical shape to get ready for the playoffs, I love the strategy.
Yeah, it was. It kind of caught me by surprise seeing Corey Perry being part of that rotation. I figured he was one of Cooper's guys, but at the same time, you got to rotate these guys. You have to give everybody an equal amount of playing time. And the Perbix, sitting him for a couple of games, you brought up a great point of him just never having played this many games in a season before. You also have to remember Darren Radish. He's got to be playing as well. And he's been having a great season down in Syracuse, and he's really starting to find himself in the lineup a little bit. Of course, I still have my pick with Perbix and whatnot. He's been fantastic, but you got to get everybody some playing time. I just think it's funny how quickly we all kind of forgot about Balcers, though. It seemed like he was kind of a hot topic a little bit earlier in the year. We wanted to see him play a little bit. Unfortunately, got injured. But after the Jeannot and Eyssimont trades, he's just kind of I haven't heard much of a peep about him at all.
I think that's credit to Jeannot and Eyssimont, how good they have been and the way they've stepped up, that we maybe sit here saying, well, maybe we really don't even need it. But I do think Balcers will come up come playoff time just because of the cap situation. I don't think they can call him up right now. I think he's just over. I think they have about 500,000. I believe his cap hit is about 575 or somewhere in that range. So I don't know if they can actually call him up without sending somebody down, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe get in a game if there's injuries in the playoffs. But hopefully we don't have to worry about that, obviously. And it's funny, Joe, you mentioned, or I was talking about Perbix, playing so many games, and this is tough for him as a young kid, obviously. But think about even our older guys. I mean, they've played. This is coming up on full seasons of hockey, and they went to the Stanley Cup Finals 3 years in a row. Like, I can't imagine the toll that it's taken on those guys.
And it's definitely, even though Corey Perry wasn't there for the 2 games that the Lightning won the cup. Well, actually, he wasn't he? He was just on the opposite team, so he's had just as much time on the ice as well. And I think I looked it up last podcast. He's 37 years old, and pretty close to the same age that I am. And every now and then, taking a couple of extra days for yourself to just recuperate can do wonders.
And I'm not a big fan of the load management argument. I think it is kind of silly. But when you do have a good situation, like I'd say the Lightning are in, being able to have the ability to rotate quality guys in where you're not having to just plug lineups because there's an injury or something, it's a good spot to be in. So, it's really not a bad thing at all, I'd say.
I can't stand when the NBA does that, when they take guys out just because they feel tired or whatever. That always drove me nuts. If a guy's hurt, But so I'm not a big fan of it either, Matt. But in this situation, I think it's a little different. You have an extra guy you're trying to throw in there, and there is an extra benefit of resting guys, getting them ready for the playoffs. Speaking of the playoff type of format, let's talk about these games as the Lightning took on the New Jersey Devils 3 times this week in a kind of a mini playoff series, if you will. Joe, I know you were asking about how the guys would prepare for a week like this. They said on Power Lunch, Dave Mishkin was saying that the Lightning told him that they kind of treated it like they did when, not in the bubble, but that first year when COVID hit and they had those smaller, they only played within division and they kind of played everybody a lot. That's how they kind of prepared for this. That's how they saw it, which I thought was interesting. It was against the New Jersey Devils in New Jersey, and guys, the Lightning came through in a big way. They win this game by a final score of 4-1. They were behind early in this one with New Jersey scoring first, but the Lightning fight back and never look back. Alex Killorn, Brandon Hagel, Anthony Cirelli, and Nikita Kucherov are the ones who get on the score sheet for goals. And the Lightning, only 40% in the faceoff circle this time, 0 for 2 on the power play, but 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. And they get the puck in the back of the net and pick up a big win in New Jersey.
This was a game that was really exciting to watch. I had quite a bit of trepidation going into this one, and man, the Lightning played really well. There's definitely items that they could have improved upon. For instance, a trend that continued as well. The Devils took the face-off battle and got 60% in this game. Then actually for all 3 games, they're right at about 60%. So from a puck possession standpoint, considering that the Lightning weren't starting off with the puck as often as the Devils, they still did really well in this game. And there's a lot that you can look at, for the good things that they did in order to get this win.
This game was interesting to me in a couple of different ways, just because, first of all, we hadn't seen this team all year. We've known that they've been, one of the better teams in the league so far this year, and, playing them 3 times within a week span or something. There's kind of a lot leading up to this, but they definitely, the bull set has surprised me with how well they handled them. Like, I was going to be honest, you're a little bit intimidated on the way in. I knew how good this team was. I'd watched some of their games. It's not just, they're on a crazy hot streak. I think they've actually found something really good. But no, New Jersey started off really hot, and that's not the easiest building to play in either, especially now that they've got some fans coming in as well. The Prudential Center, that place gets bumping pretty good. So, but no, I was very, very impressed with how they started this, first game out of this 3-game series, if you will. Unfortunately, the actual start to the game wasn't ideal. New Jersey came out scoring that first goal pretty quick, and then had they scored their second goal, which eventually got called off, thank God. And that kind of was when the tides of the whole game really shifted. Once that goal got called back, it was it was kind of all Lightning. Almost the Devils didn't really look like themselves for the whole game. So I think it was just kind of took the wind out of their sails. But the Lightning, they kind of had something to prove after a couple of rough weeks. Still kind of telling everybody we can roll with the big boys.
And it's funny with that goal that was called off. And I think I said in our chat right away, I'm like, I think that one's coming back. And we have conversations almost every week about what is going to be considered goaltender interference or what is offsides, the interpretation of some of these rules. And in this one, it was Tatar that was basically backing into Vasi with Point directly on him, but Point wasn't pushing him, and just enough contact that it really did affect the initial shot and the initial save. And that one rolled back as it should have been called.
Well, what's funny is too, I thought this goal was going to stand because I thought Point did push him. So it just goes to show you that it's still just a throw of the dartboard. Nobody can really figure out these rules. But I am glad it did come back and that the Lightning were able to shift that momentum. And Matt, how about the shorthanded goal that Anthony Cirelli scored? We scored another shorthanded goal this time.
Yeah, that's
one up.
Back-to-back games for Anthony Cirelli. I think you guys covered it last week. I think he scored in the game prior when I was gone. But back-to-back shorthanded goals I'll take it. And I'm trust me, even though I missed last week, I'm not going to bring up the shorthanded goal against. I'll let sleeping dogs lie.
Matt, do you know who the last Lightning player was to score back-to-back shorthanded goals? Or Joe, do you know it either?
I mean, I have a couple of guesses that I could throw out.
What do you got?
Just guesses. All right, so the first guess is going to be Marty St. Louis, that I think if we have to go back that far, he'd be a candidate for it. And the other one is going to be Coleman.
Matt, what about you?
I say Yanni Gourde.
That's a great guess.
Those are all fantastic guesses, but none of you are right. It is none other than Steven Stamkos, who did it back in 2019. Yes, I know. I couldn't believe either. And shout out to Chris Kren, of course, who's the one that put out this statistic. I believe Eric also tweeted out as well. But yeah, Steven Stamkos back in 2019 was the player to last do back-to-back shorthanded goals, and Cirelli does it here in a big game for the Lightning. Great pass, by the way, from Brandon Hagel to get that puck up to Cirelli.
Hagel was on fire that whole game. I mean,
he also scored.
Yeah, and the pass in order to get it to Cirelli for that shorthanded goal, he had to work really, really hard, and in order to get into the position to do that. And he outskated Hughes. He beat him in order to generate the 2-on-1 shorthanded there, and Cirelli with a beautiful finish going forehand, backhand, and just burying it.
So the Lightning started things off 1-0 in their mini playoff series against the Devils, and they would get set to take them on again for game number 2, again in New Jersey. And the Lightning, again, come away with the win. They win this one in the shootout by a final score of 4-3. Same stats for the faceoff circle. The Devils 60%, Lightning only 40%. Power plays got better for both teams. Lightning went 1 for 3. The Devils go 1 for 4. So the Lightning penalty kill going 3 for 4. Pretty good job for them in this game. Well, no, I shouldn't say pretty good job. I should say amazing job, because in this game, guys, we had the 5-on-3 where we had 2 penalties called at the same time on the Lightning. It was Steven Stamkos and Eric Cernak that went to the box. And you're thinking, oh no, this is going to be trouble for the Lightning. I believe the game was tied at that point, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was 2-1, I believe, and or 1-1, excuse me. And so huge 5-on-3. You're thinking the Devils might come away with it, but the Lightning come through and they kill off the entire 2-minute 5-on-3. And then seconds later, it's Steven Stamkos out of the box with a huge shot in the slot, and he gives the Lightning the lead. Guys, I don't know about you, but I was ecstatic after that goal. That was a huge goal for the Bolts, a huge kill, and a huge momentum in this game, even though the Devils ultimately do come back to tie it and force OT/shootout.
That sequence had me go from not breathing, just holding my breath for the 5-on-3, to completely out of breath celebrating the Stamkos goal that happened. And just to talk about that play real quick, there was a really big effort by Cernak to get the puck down low He gets it behind the Devils' net, passes it over to Belmar, who finds Stamkos out front, and that's such an amazing kill. Give you a lot of confidence killing a full 2-minute 5-on-3, but then to come back and get the assist and the goal by the people that were in the box. Oh man, that was huge.
This goal was it was actually pretty funny for this whole sequence, really. So my dad, not blaming him, but he should know better. He scheduled our flight right in the middle of the Lightning game. Not right in the middle, but we were landing right as the second period was starting, and I was on my iPad just hoping to get service as quick as I possibly could. And so as soon as I open up the my tablet, open up the Bally app, I see Thomas Tatar score on Vazzy, and then so just waiting to disembark the plane. Everybody's probably giving me side eyes. This guy's watching the Lightning game. We're not even off the plane yet, but yeah. So we kill that 5-on-3, and man, that was it was an insane momentum swing because New Jersey had everything in their favor. They could have, should have scored, and then yeah, it was kind of a hodgepodge style of goal. There were actually 3 defensemen out on the ice when that goal did go in, kind of, assisted by 2 unlikely candidates, if you will. But yeah, it was a great play by Chernak. Ended up taking a spill to make the play to Belmar, who ended up getting it to Stamkos. But it was just a really funny, stressful, but funny sequence of events, how everything really shook out, at least in my world, just on that one play.
Matt, were you checking at RBLR Lightning and at @BulletReport_TB for all your game news and notes and recaps for this one, since you didn't have access to a stream?
I should have been, but
what I'm saying, at RBR Lightning, let's go, guys. Check it. Follow us on Twitter, on social media, so you can get those game recaps or game live game tweets, I should say. And occasionally, too, we're all over there talking about the game as well. But a huge game for the Lightning, and then they go into overtime, and nobody's able to score in overtime. Thank goodness Steven Stamkos did not give a goal in overtime again. I know it's been a pet peeve of mine over the last couple, but they go into the shootout. Ross Colton scores for the Lightning. The Devils do get it back, though, but then it's Alex Killorn who ends up winning it for the Lightning in the shootout. The shot went right off the post, but bounces into the net, and the Bolts get another big win against the Devils. So 2-0, guys, going back home to Amalie Arena.
Yeah, and talking about that killer shootout goal real quick, he's a left-handed shot, comes down the right-hand side, and then he pushes the puck with almost like a fake hesitation move on his forehand. He kind of pushes it to the left as he cuts across the net and then fires it to the far side, the left side of the net. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because as we come into the next game, he obviously got a little confidence doing this move. We've seen him do this move a few times before, but it's the exact same thing that he then did the next game to score against Montreal.
I also want to shout out Ross Colton, who got the first goal of the game and a shootout goal with his signature Mohawk move, if you will, in front of his former team, or against his former team, in front of friends and family. That's got to be a great feeling for him. So he had himself quite a night, I'm sure.
Yeah, and one more thing to look at for this game too is in the first matchup, the Lightning outshot the Devils as 30-23, and in this one, you saw the Devils push back, quite a bit, especially to get that tying goal, and they ended up with 35 shots on versus the Lightning's 24, and I felt like there's a much more lively Devils team that the Lightning played compared to the first matchup.
Definitely. And also I think some of that probably has to do with, the Devils didn't even pull the goalie in that first game. They never even tried it. They did do it in this game. Or actually, no, they were able to tie it, but they had that pressure sense of, we need to get this game tied. We're only down 1 goal. So I think that might have played a little bit of a factor into it as well. But now before we go into the third game against the Devils, we had a little bit of a detour as the Lightning took on the Montreal Canadiens at Amalie Arena. And of course, this was the Hall of Fame night for the Lightning. Now let's talk about the game first, and then we'll get into, I want to talk about some of the Hall of Fame festivities because it was so much fun to watch. I really enjoyed it, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this too. But as for the game, the Lightning get the win against the Canadiens by a final score of 5-3, 62% in the face-off circle. They were 1 for 2 on the power play and 1 for 2 on the penalty kill as well. And guys, even though the Lightning win this one 5-3, I don't think it felt like a 5-3 win, if you know what I mean, as the Canadians actually took a 3-2 lead by the end of the second period. And it wasn't until the third period the Lightning started to get their feet under them and get that momentum going and ultimately score 3 unanswered goals in the third period to get that 5-3 win.
This game was ugly. I really didn't like this game. Like you were saying, Jake, it didn't feel like a 5-3 win to me. I like going into the game, and I have such a bad habit doing this, where it should be utter domination. The Lightning should have won this game 6-0 or something like that. I always have these high expectations when it's coming to these teams. I said the same thing against San Jose. I said the same thing against Arizona. We ended up losing both those games. Granted, in extra time, we got a point, but I was expecting it to be a slaughter. So I really shouldn't have such high expectations. But, man, Montreal doesn't have anybody on their team. They're an AHL squad right now. But they did need to have a big response. Of course, Marty St. Louis wants to have his team to compete in front of some of his former teammates and coaches and whatnot. I guess Torts wasn't there, but they needed a bounce back after that Florida loss. I mean, they got 7 goals scored on them in one period just the night before or 2 days before, whatever it was. So Montreal, they came out with some fight for sure, and they really kind of played throughout the whole game. They did not really let the Lightning do much of anything. I think it was one of those games where the Lightning get a little complacent. They play with their food a little bit. I've used that term before, and then don't take it super seriously until they kind of have to. And I think the game just kind of got away from them a little bit. It didn't hold a lot that I really want to see from this team. I saw a lot of mistakes, a lot of overpassing. Still, I mean, Brandon Hagel managed to find himself a hat trick throughout the whole night, but it was an ugly game for sure, to say the least.
Yeah, and we've seen this trend with the Lightning quite a few times, like you mentioned, where if they go against a lesser opponent, they ended up, kind of getting away from their true game and don't play, like they normally do, as dominant as they could against a team like this. And maybe it also is a little bit of distractions where there were so many events going on surrounding the Lightning's 30th anniversary, plus, coming into play against, a team that is just straight up not very good. Maybe they didn't come fully prepared, and then the amount of hustle that the Canadians did have for a good portion of the game. But, I mean, I don't think it was as bad as, quite as bad as you guys are making it out to be, where they, where they were equals. I don't think they were equals really in this game much at all. Maybe they were down by a goal, but when you look at how much puck possession the Lightning had, they had the puck probably twice as much as Montreal did. And looking, just from the stat line, Lightning had 41 shots on net, 62% of the face-off wins. In comparison, Montreal had 21 shots, but also Montreal had 20 blocked shots. Meaning the Lightning took 20 shots that were blocked by Canadiens players, which means that they were, in the offensive zone generating scoring chances, or at least generating shot opportunities. And you had Montreal players having to lay down in front of pucks to prevent them from going out. It is a little bit strange to have seen Montreal go up by 2, but I think that or go up by 1 rather, but I think that the Lightning did wake up quite a bit in this one, especially once Stamkos scored his one-timer, signature one-timer for the second game in a row that he scored one, and that was early in the third, and they just walked it from there.
To me, this showed kind of the resiliency of this team and the fact that they had, as you mentioned, Joe, had a lot of chances. They weren't going their way and not going in the back of the net. And then when they realized they were down, they're like, hey, we got to step up. And they did. They came back and had a fantastic third period. Hagel, as we mentioned, getting 2 goals to finish off the hat trick for himself. And they played really good in that third period. So to me, it shows a lot of the resiliency.
And Hagel really worked hard that entire game.
He did.
He tried so hard to get the hat trick without the goalie being pulled, but the amount of effort that he put in, to even get that empty net goal. Sometimes, you feel like it's a little bit cheap getting a hat trick on an empty net, but man, he worked his butt off in order to generate all sorts of opportunities before that and to get that one. So it wasn't like it was a lucky hat trick, you know?
Hey, Hagel, 3 goals away from goal number 30. I said it all season long. He's almost there. I'm so excited for you.
You know,
He was well earned for him. I'm glad he got that hat trick. It was,
what's funny is to start the week, I was looking at his stats. I'm like, man, he was what, to start the week, he was 5 away. Like, I don't know if, or at this point he was, right? So it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if he's got enough time with his current scoring rate. Shut me up.
in a good way though. Let's talk about the ceremony a little bit and all the things that went on in the Hall of Fame, because I want to give a shout out to the Lightning broadcast crew, specifically Gabby Shirley as well. She was fantastic. I loved I know a lot of people don't like, those mid-game interviews normally with coaches, but I thought the way they did this with the alumni out there at the game was a lot of fun. We had some really good stories from all the players. Shout out to Terry Crisp too, who was having this game too. I thought he was great. Of course, the Lightning did their Top Golf event a couple days before, and then they had the actual ceremony, which wasn't broadcasted. I'm kind of surprised that it wasn't broadcasted in any way, although they did play some clips from the ceremony during the broadcast as well. And of course, Phil Esposito. I mean, what a great guy. His speech was, again, unbelievable. The clips that I heard, at least from what they played, I know they are on the Lightning YouTube channel. If you haven't heard them, I think we'll try to retweet them on the RBLR Lightning Twitter account as well. But great job all around from the Hall of Fame ceremony.
One thing, a quote I heard from Phil, he said it on the Block Party podcast. I don't think he said it at the ceremony, but he said that you can take away every single accomplishment I had as a player. He's a Hall of Fame player, one of the best all time. He said you could take all of that away, take me out of the Hockey Hall of Fame, and put me in as a builder for this team, and I'd be the happiest person on earth. And that really kind of touched me, man. I mean, he was a Bruin through and through. He was the face of the franchise for the longest time, and then, not saying he's kicking them to the curb or anything like that, but to be able to be the archetype of this team and the grandfather, if you will. I mean, it is an incredible feat what he's done here in Tampa. I mean, us three wouldn't be together without him. I mean, he is just, the words can't do him justice. So, huge congratulations to him and Marty and Vinny as well. It was a really neat ceremony, seeing all the familiar faces that used to play for the team. Rick Peckham was even there, but seeing guys like Ryan Callahan, Andre Waugh, Brian Boyle even showed up, which I thought was pretty neat too. Just a lot of familiar faces. It was a great weekend for the guys. I know everybody enjoyed it. It was super enjoyable for me just to see some of these old guys all back together again, especially Crispy.
Yeah, and you're mentioning, Jake, about the in-game interviews, and I would say, because they did extend over the action, that if that was something that was done every game, it would be quite annoying. So, right. Talking about like the in-game interviews that they do with coaches sometimes, I'm not usually a big fan of those. Let them do their jobs. But this was such a special event, such a special moment with some of these guys, and they're such unique people to talk to, and historic from the Lightning standpoint as well. Like I can't remember the last time I saw an interview with Dan Boyle, and seeing him get in there, and then, with his not brother Brian Boyle, seeing him around as well. And then Ben Bishop, who still looks like he's in his early 20s. That guy's face just does not age. One thing I did think was a little bit humorous to me is that Chris Dingman kept like peeking his head into every single shot, it seemed, at any time they're interviewing someone new. He was trying to make an appearance as well.
Well, Matt, you were talking about all the people. There was a lot of alumni that came out to this event. I think it shows how much people respect this organization. Like when we say the Lightning do it right, we're not kidding. Like they really do. I mean, Jeff Vinik, first class guy, and he really, did such a good job with this event. And all these players love coming out to it and love being back here in Tampa. They didn't have to come out to this event, but
It's
I think,
part of a culture that
yeah,
we've created, and I'm including the fans in this as well. I mean, without a strong hockey market, despite it being a non-traditional market, it's a strong market that backs this team. Of course, we've been blessed with great, fantastic, talented teams that really helps. But man, we've got a killer fan base. We've got great management, great owners. I mean, we truly are a blessed franchise, and there's plenty of other franchises. So I'm sorry, Joe, I'll wrap up quick, but there's plenty of other franchises been around a lot longer, a lot more prestigious franchises where some of the star players, you could be hanging their banner in the rafters, and they don't want to step in that building. It could be the day for them. I know Eric Lindros, he doesn't have a great relationship with Philadelphia at all. I mean, there's plenty more I can name. So we truly are in a great position to where alumni, former coaches, managers, whoever it is, it's a treat for them to come back for an occasion like this.
Oh, that was a sentiment that was echoed by pretty much everyone that got interviewed or, had a moment to speak, be it on one of the YouTube videos that they put out, or, they loved the area, loved the fan base, loved the organization. And like you said, you really don't hear that from, anywhere in sports as consistently. So it's something very special that we have here in Tampa, and we definitely can take it for granted because it's what we're used to. But I mean, if you just look at not that far into our history, the days of the OK Cowboys with Orrin Cools, how miserable it was to, they're treating the team like like it was a fantasy league where they're trading players and doing all sorts of stuff. At least we got Steven Stamkos out of that group, but man, we're so lucky with what we have now.
what did you guys think of the actual Hall of Fame that they have set up in the 300s now? I want to get your thoughts on. I think it looks great. I love it. It's nothing crazy, but I think they did a good job with it. I know some people were surprised that they had Vinny and Marty in the most recent uniforms and not their 04 uniforms, although someone pointed out to me that they did that because that's the one time both of them were captains. So that kind of made sense a little bit there. But what are your guys' thoughts on the actual Hall of Fame that they have up in the 300s?
I mean, I guess it's better that they're not in Rangers and Flyers uniforms, so so that's all right. But no, it was. I thought it was really cool. But I went to the game yesterday against the Devils, and
You saw it.
yes, yeah, it looks really good, but it also looks kind of small. Like it looks great from the ice. I was in the lower bowl, pretty much up against the glass, and you can see it great from everywhere in the arena, but they've already used up a pretty decent amount of the real estate on that one little piece there. And there are there are like two other wings on each side where you can put one, maybe two people there. But I got a feeling that this wall is going to fill up pretty fast. I mean, they're doing one or two a year from now on?
Well, I would expect that they're going to go all the way around. Like I know some of the 300s is blocked off by like couple wall pieces or something, but I still expect them to go all the way around the 300s. I don't know.
I would hope so, but that might just be the centralized location for the three kings of the franchise, if you will. So I don't know. I might just be yelling at clouds here.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it in person before completely reacting. Having seen a couple of others from other arenas. They're not typically huge. Even the one for, Detroit, it is a decent amount of history that they have displayed there. But I think with the age of our team is pretty representative of, what we have to display so far.
And they could probably change it too. Like they could probably condense it, maybe even take out the pictures if they wanted to, if they needed to condense it more on that wall. But that's a long ways away. It's a great start. It was really cool. It was a little unfortunate that the cloth got snagged on that one lane or something like that. It wouldn't come out. It's a little unfortunate. But last thing I'll say, guys, I thought those jackets that they gave out to Phil, Marty, and Vinny looked awesome. I love those. I want to get my hands on them one day myself if I somehow can. But I also want to say this. If our RBR listeners want to look just as good as Phil, Marty, and Vinny, head over to shop.rblrsports.com to check out our Lightning themed, Rays themed, Bucks themed, Rowdies themed merchandise. And the best part is you can use code BOLTS for 10% off your order. Again, that is shop.rblrsports.com. Use code BOLTS at checkout for 10% off your order. Check it out. We've got some awesome themed merch over there for you guys. I think you guys will really, really enjoy it. With that said, though, let's get into that last game against the New Jersey Devils. It's the third game that the Lightning took on against the Devils this week. So game 3 of the little mini playoff series, if you will. And well, this was an interesting game. The Lightning got off to a really good start, went up 2-0, and then ever since then it was downhill as the Lightning ultimately lose this one by a final score of 5-2. And we talked about this in the other 2 games, and again, the Devils dominating in the faceoff circle, 62%. The Lightning go 0 for 4 on the power play. They do go 1 for 1 on the penalty kill, but a rough game for the Lightning guys.
Yeah, they got off to a pretty fast start. The Lightning did, in the sense that they got on the scoreboard first. They were playing decently well, but the Devils really brought their A game, I felt like, to this one, where the Lightning didn't play their best. The stats show it pretty clearly, especially with the shots on goals. 39-24 is pretty lopsided there, and the Devils just looked sharper, faster, and were executing better. And the amount of speed that they were bringing in was forcing errors from the Lightning that they then were able to kind of pounce on and just keep the Lightning hemmed in their own end. And you could say that the Lightning made a lot of mistakes, but I think that was also a characteristic of the Devils forechecking them very hard and making it difficult to cleanly come out of the zone. Vasi probably had 1 or 2 that he would want back on that. He, there was one 5-hole goal that I remember seeing that, I definitely think that could have, been saved. But overall, I think the Lightning just got outworked and outplayed on this one.
I'm not going to criticize that 5-hole goal. There were a couple softies, but he did kind of save their hide a couple of times, especially later in the game when they were really trying to claw their way back in. They kept giving up odd man rushes. I couldn't tell you how many odd man rushes the Lightning gave up for Jersey, but yeah, I don't think they scored on any of those odd man rushes. I think they were all pretty decent slot shots while they had possession in the zone, but Vasi saved their hide a couple of times, again, later in the game, but it got out of hand really quick. The Lightning, that is, started very, very well. They got on the score sheet really quick and just controlled the play fairly, it was pretty much all in New Jersey's end for the first, I'll say, 10 minutes of the game. So it just got away pretty quickly. It's a tale as old as time. Lightning in second periods, they don't really mix very well. That's where things really started to go downhill. You could kind of get a feeling of it starting to go downhill late in the first period. But aside from all that, aside from a little bit of a lackluster game, it was a really touching game because it was Andre Palat's first time back in Amalie Arena since he's been a Devil. And I've been to a couple of games so far where they've had tributes. I did Yanni Gourde's, Ryan McDonough's, and this one was definitely the loudest ovation. It was everybody had the wettest eyes. It was tough. It genuinely was tough because he had been with the team for so very long. I think he means a little bit more to the franchise than Yanni Gourde, Ryan McDonough, or whoever else you want to throw in that mix from the cup-winning teams. This one kind of hurts the most. But again, you're happy for the guy. You're happy that he's back, or you get to see him back here. It was a really touching moment. But after that, that's what it was. It was after after that things started to go downhill. So
well, before we move too far away from that, talking about the tribute, there was like almost a distinct moment where they had Palat overlaid on the actual video that they were playing, and laughing at times, smiling at times, and then you saw his face kind of change where you could kind of feel what he was feeling and how hard it is to leave, and the appreciation that you have when you come back, and the fans and everything. And man, that one was tough to not get emotional. I'd say that my allergies started acting up a little bit worse right about that moment.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little emotional right now talking. I mean, Palat scored so many big moment goals for the Lightning, especially in those last couple of playoff runs. He meant so much to this team. He was a big part of it. And the tribute was fantastic. The way they defined him as a warrior and the way they put the clips in there and each one of the players talking about Palat, it was really, really well done and very nice to see. Matt, you mentioned thing kind of went downhill after that tribute. Maybe do you know what song they played after the tribute? It was "Sweet Caroline," and I know it's his goal song, but oh my goodness, that song. Guys, I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. It's bad luck in hockey. I'm telling you. And maybe that's what it had to do with it. I'm gonna blame it on "Sweet Caroline" because that makes me feel a little bit better about.
I like it given the context.
If I'm gonna,
yeah.
If I'm going to blame it on something, also blame it on special teams here. We're going 0 for 4 on the power play.
Yeah.
You need to, I know the Devils are a tough team, but you need to take advantage of those opportunities. Getting 4 power plays to the Devils only having 1, that is one of those big chances to make a dent and, find a chink in the armor and really start to wear, really start to pull ahead on a team like that. And they didn't score a single goal on the power plays that they had.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Devils did a great job. Credit to them for killing off the Lightning power plays. Because listen, I know a lot of people give the power play a hard time, but the truth of the fact is the Lightning have a good power play, and they have even a better one at home. But the Devils, they shut it down, and it seems like they have been a big reason why the Lightning have struggled recently is because they knew how they would not let the Lightning even enter the zone. I mean, they did a good job in this game. You got to give them credit. They played really good, and they fought back big in this game. But at the end of the day, guys, listen, the Lightning are up 2-1 in the series with another game at home if you're looking at this as a playoff series. So it was a rough game for the Lightning, but overall, I thought they had a great week, and they have looked so much better than they did before. So
it is so disappointing to end the week on a down note like that with all the positive takeaways from the week as a whole. If you were to say, as we were talking last week, we were hoping for maybe 5 points out of this 4-game stand, end up getting 6, beating New Jersey twice. I mean, that's a really good week for the Lightning. It just kind of ended on a little bit of a sour note.
And it's impressive enough, I mentioned it earlier, getting those 2 games in New Jersey. We've had a really rough time on the road, so that's a huge testament for this team being able to play on the road. And not that I'm justifying their poor power play in the 3rd game, but the first goal, or Kucherov's goal, it came about 5 seconds after the power play had ended, and then 2 of the other power plays were bookending the period. So I think it was with just over a minute left. It's not as easy to get a full power play going. When it's split up in halves or thirds, if you will, it's not as easy to get set up and find your rhythm. So I'm again not making any excuses, but
that's a
you
fair
got to
point.
look at it from a certain angle.
Well, let's be honest. That Kucherov goal was basically a power play goal. I mean, I don't think. I think it was Hamilton was in the box. I don't think he was even back in the play at that point. So there was one of those.
He defends anyway.
Right. Wow. Shots fired from Matt. Hey, let's get back into the positive notes and go talk about our 3 stars of the week. And of course, I'm going to throw it to you, the fans early. Let us know at RBLR Lightning. What is your list for your 3 stars? What do you guys think of our list? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And again, you can let us know at RBLR Lightning. But for our 3rd star of the week, it's going to be Mikhail Sergachev. Guys, Sergachev, he's kind of had a quiet, good couple of weeks here because if you look at his stats over the last couple of games, every game, 2 assists. I think he had 1 assist in 1 game and then none, but then right back, 2 assists. I mean, he's constantly putting up pretty consistently some good points. Sergachev this week had 5 assists in those 4 games played. It was also a +2 on the team. So a good week for Mikhail Sergachev. And I think he's really continuing to develop into that strong defender. He's still so young. And getting better and better every week. So a good stuff from Mikhail Sergachev, who's continuing to look like one of the best trades ever for Jonathan Drouin, who didn't take a ship in the game against Tampa Bay.
that that was interesting seeing Druin benched. I mean, I know it was because of him missing a practice or something. But on to
Missed a team meeting.
yeah, on to Sergey here. He has been playing really well and eating up huge minutes. One of the impressive ones was in that second New Jersey Devils game. He had 28 minutes, including some of that overtime ice time, and he's registered as a -1, but that's because he got his points on the power play. So we had 2 assists in that game as well. He was dead even against them in this last game, and considering the lopsidedness of it, he's playing solid defense again. And I mean, you like seeing him to start piling up points. He's already got 53 on the season, and he's a plus 13. So he's having a heck of a time right now.
And I think he's just about to break his career high in points, so knocking on wood for that. But yeah, this week has been a strong week for Mikhail Sergachev, especially last night's game, the third game against the Devils. Despite a rough outcome, I thought he was probably the Lightning's best defenseman throughout the entire game. One thing that New Jersey was taking advantage of was they would drive to the net. If they were on a one-on-one or whatever it might be, they would try to blow past the defender, and they were pretty successful in doing it. The Lightning defenders, they were trying to box them out. They didn't really want to skate with the attacking forwards. Sergachev was kind of the only one who would really skate with them and really clamp down and put pressure on some of these guys instead of just trying to drive them wide. So I thought he actually played really, really well in this New Jersey game, and throughout the rest of the week, I don't find myself pointing fingers at him, kind of like I would earlier this year. And then again, the points, that's just a plus to me. I think he's just played very, very well as of late. So hats off to Sergey.
And to correct you slightly there, Matt, his previous career high was his first season with the Lightning with 40 points. So he's already
way over.
He's already shattered it. Yep.
Matt, you just blew Matt's mind right there with that one.
Last year he got 38.
Yeah. And he also has his career high in assists as well with 46 this year. And then he's 3 goals off to tie his career high. His career high is 10. He's at 7 right now. So Sergachev having a really good year right now. But let's go to our second star of the week, and that is going to be none other than the man himself, Nikita Kucherov. Kucherov, who feels like he's on this list every single week because he is just that good. Kucherov, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 total points. He was also like +5 this week. The guy, I don't know what to say anymore, guys, because he's on the week every year, and or on the list every week, and it's just amazing. Every week he does something else that absolutely blows my mind. The way he's able to move the puck, the way he's been hustling as of late has just been fantastic, and he's continuing to score points as he just hit the 100 points on the season.
So that's one thing that he's doing a little bit differently this week is the plus minus has been a lot better. Now I know that he plays against the harder matchups every single night. But there's been quite a few games where he's not positive with his plus minus. Maybe he scores while it's on the power play, so that doesn't count towards a plus. And, if they get scored on, it looks like a minus for the night. He's only a +3 on the season. So saying that he was +5 +5 is a huge thing for these past 4 games. And again, in the game against New Jersey, he was dead even with 1 goal, and that goal came on the power play, if I'm not mistaken. I can pull that one up again real quick. That was an even strength goal. So he was out there for 1 goal against. But, I mean, he's playing a lot better defensively. Like you said, it's like he really did wake up quite a bit from that benching.
Yeah, it was that Buffalo game where the top line got benched, and then that Carolina game, let's not talk about that. But after that Carolina game, Kucherov specifically has been playing a lot better. He's been playing very responsibly, if you will, while still managing to have that elite high level of offense. And yeah, congratulations to him on 100 points this year. Not an easy feat by any means. So no, he's really rounding out his game, especially at the perfect time, kind of heading into the playoffs. So hopefully he can keep that level of play up, if not even be a little bit better. But I do appreciate the defensive play. I think it gets kind of overshadowed a little. Not overshadowed, but when he's turning it on, when he chooses to, it's not appreciated. People think he's still just a turnover machine. I don't think he's been like that as of recent. I think that the benching maybe did him a little bit of good. So it just seems like he's been a little bit of a different player since then.
Now, going to our first star of the week, this is a guy that everybody has been talking about, and it's Braden Point's lookalike in Brandon. Hey, I got you guys there. You thought I was going to say Braden Point, didn't you? It's Braden Point's lookalike in Brandon Hagel. He has been fantastic. I know I'm always so high on him because I predicted his 30-goal season, but he is this week 4 goals, 2 assists, and 6 points. And Joe, you were talking about the plus minus for Kucherov. Hagel was a +7 this week. So he was fantastic. He was one of the hardest working forwards out there, constantly stealing pucks and making big hits, making big plays everywhere you looked. Brandon Hagel, very well deserving of the first star this week.
Yeah, +7, and on the season he's +23. He's, he really did pretty much take over that game against Montreal, where he had his hat trick. I mean, wow, to see him skate that hard, to play so well. I was definitely skeptical, Jake, when you said he would be getting 30 this year, and just at every turn he just keeps playing better and better. He had 2 absolutely huge games this with this past week, with a 3-point and 2 3-point performances.
The Montreal game is definitely going to garner all the attention because he had the hat trick against him, but I think he genuinely did play better in that New Jersey game where he had the 3 points. I thought he was everywhere. He was electric the entire game. And I'm not trying to take anything away from that hat trick game. The bar is very high, so take it as a compliment. But yeah, he has been, Mr. Tampa Bay this entire week. One thing I did notice last night at the game is he was I say, he's everywhere, whatever, just always moving, never in the same spot, but he was everywhere last night. I don't know if you guys were able to catch this, but he was playing defense a lot, like not just like back checking or whatever. He was working the point a lot, and he was just doing the general duties and responsibilities a defenseman should do while still being a offensive forechecking forward. He was everywhere last night and throughout the week. What did he finish with? Like 9 points over these 4 games, something like that. Hat trick, 3-point game. No, enough said. He's going to hit 30 anytime now, and he's heating. Not that he's heating up, but he's just Mr. Consistent, if you will.
It's crazy to think about. A lot of people said Hagel was a bust when we first traded for him. He wasn't doing enough in the playoffs when we traded for him, but he has really found his role. And by the way, I don't know if you guys heard this as well. I think it was after the Montreal game, they were interviewing him, and he was talking about how much he loves it here in Tampa Bay. He's really happy he got traded here, which again speaks to this great organization. And so great for Hagel, well deserving of our first star. So there you have it.
One other thing, too, is that he scored his first career hat trick in his 100th game.
That's right.
And his second career hat trick being the Montreal game in his 200th career game.
So next hat trick, career game number 300.
He said he's consistent, Matt.
That's consistent.
Very consistent. So there you have it, our 3 stars, Mikhail Sergachev, Nikita Kucherov, and Brandon Hagel. Let us know at RBLR Lightning what your guys' thoughts are. Would you have anybody else in the list? Would you have moved anybody else up and down? Love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Before we get into previewing this upcoming week, guys, the Frozen 4 is coming back to Tampa Bay once again here. That's going to be April 6th through April 8th back at Amalie Arena once again. Are you guys going out? Anybody catching any games at Amalie for the Frozen 4?
Oh, I'm gonna try. I'm going to really try, and I'll talk to you guys about this after the show. If you guys want to go, let me know. But I've never experienced college hockey. I never honestly just watched a game start to finish college hockey, I think there'd be no better way to experience it than live in person at your home barn. And there is plenty of talent there. The Frozen Four tournaments, they are very, very entertaining from what I hear. I don't hear anything bad about them. There's some great talent out there. I would love to go to some of these games.
Yeah, they're fast paced, that's for sure. The amount of speed that's out there might not be as refined as the games that you see in the NHL, but seeing it on the same ice is pretty cool because you get a familiar perspective to is a slightly different game, and a lot of these teams travel very well, so there's passionate fans in the stands.
I went to the one when it was back in Tampa originally, and it was a lot of fun to go to that game. And it's in Amalie Arena, of course, which is a fantastic environment in itself. And don't worry if you're worried that you don't have anything to wear because you don't know those teams. Don't forget, get over to shop.rblr Sports and check out the merch there and pick some up for yourself so you can be geared up and ready to go for the Frozen Four. With that said, though, let's preview this upcoming week. And guys, this is a pretty big week for the Lightning. They're going to be taking on the Montreal Canadiens on Tuesday in Montreal at 7 p.m. and then taking on the Ottawa Senators at 7 p.m. in Ottawa on Thursday. And then the big game on Saturday, the Lightning taking on the Boston Bruins in Boston at 1 p.m. Eastern. And I think this is the one, guys, everybody's circling on their calendar. The Lightning were able to beat the Bruins at Amalie Arena, their last matchup, in a big win. Can they do it again, though?
Yeah, Boston's already clinched a playoff spot with 13 games left on the schedule for them. They have been on a historic tear, as we all know. I do like the fact that the Lightning get to play two lesser teams, and hopefully they can use, again, as an opportunity to tighten up their game. Just playing Montreal, 3 nights before. So it'll be a familiar foe, and there's obviously a lot that they can improve upon. And then, I think Ottawa's had a kind of a slide here, right? They
haven't
they've lost 5 games in a row, and they are currently winning against the Penguins as of this recording.
Okay, well, actually, that's not a bad team to be winning against, but still, I want to see the Lightning just be consistent. Shut down everything defensively, and then bring that energy into that big game against Boston.
I'm not going to ramble too long. Of course, I'd like to see us take home 6 points. I'd like to win all these games in regulation, of course, but I know that's not how the world works. But if I could make a bold prediction, I think that they're going to beat Boston. I think it's going to be a pretty decisive victory. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout or anything like that. But I've said this on the podcast before, and I think you guys know it to be true, but the Lightning played Boston way better at the end of the season, I'd say. It was the same thing last year. I think they took the first 2 games from us last season, and I want to say no, we didn't play them the season prior, but we always play them better in the back half. So I think the tradition will continue this year of the March, close to April, Boston beatdown.
All right, here's my bold prediction for the week. The Lightning are going to beat the Boston Bruins, and in that game, Brendan Hagel is going to score his 30th goal of the season. I don't know if it's going to be a hat trick against Boston or it's going to be 1 goal in overtime or something like that, but it's happening against the Boston Bruins.
I'll double down, Jake. I'll double down. Hagel's getting his 30th, and Nikita Kucherov, he'll get his 30th as well. So
I like it.
Double
Big
down
win for the Lightning against the Boston Bruins. Guys, that's going to do it for us in this episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. Don't forget to like and subscribe right here on YouTube. And that's right, guys. Don't forget, we are also streaming these games with video. So be sure to come over on YouTube so you can check out and see the visuals that we've got up here for you guys as well. And don't forget to follow us at RBLR Lightning so you don't miss out on future podcasts just like this one. With that said, we'll see you guys next week. Go Bolts!
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.